In a previous lesson, for which I'm going to put a link in the description, we looked at the problem of lookups with multiple matches, and I proposed three solutions. The first one is to use the filter formula, but it only works with the newer Excel version, which is 365. The second one is using TextJoin, and it will work with Excel 2019 and 365, which is also relatively new and most of you might not have. And the last methodology works with the aggregate formula, which is for Excel 2010 and above, but it is a little bit complicated. So I started thinking, can I do this with index and match? And the answer is yes. So if you see here, the formula is a very simple index formula, and here we have a match formula that is not also very complicated. So let me show you how to do this in this video, and you're gonna see it's not very difficult. So we start here, we have a list of countries and clients for each country. And in this drop-down menu, I can select my country and I want to get the client corresponding to this country. So let's start. We're gonna have an index formula here and a match formula here. First, I'm gonna hard code. So if we look here, Brazil is at line 5, line 9, and line 10. Of course, this is if I start from A1. So I'm just gonna type 5, 9, and 10. So let's use an index formula, equal index. What is my array? It is where I have my result, which is column B. And here I am assuming that I don't have data below, which is fine, comma, the row number is 5, so I select this, and then column number, I only have one column. It's an optional argument, I don't need it. So let's close the parentheses, press enter, I get client 3, I can drag it, I get client 7 and client 8. Perfect. Now let's work on this because it's hard-coded, and let's use a match formula. Equal match, open parentheses. What is my lookup value? It is Brazil. What is my lookup array? This time it's in column A because I'm starting from A1, and then comma, match type is 0 because exact match. Enter. So let's go here and press F4 and fix it, and then let's drag it. If I drag it, I'm gonna have a problem. I get 5, 5, 5. Why? Because we're gonna look in column A and find the first instance of Brazil. It's always gonna be this one. So I need to do something to change my range. For the first one, I want A. For the second one, I want to start from here because I don't want to see the first instance of Brazil. So one formula that can help do this is the offset formula. So let's remove this and do offset, open parentheses. My reference is what? It is cell A1. Let's do F4, and then let's look at rows. So for the first one, I don't want to move any row because I want to start from A1 and search for the first instance of Brazil. So I'm gonna hard code it with 0. Comma, for columns, I only have one column. I don't want to do anything. So either you put a 0 or a comma, so you just skip it. Then this is the most important parameter, which is the height. So how many rows do I want to take from A1 in my range, and then look for Brazil. I have here 10 rows, but just to be safe, I'm just gonna put 15 for now, hard code it, which means that I'm gonna look from A1 to A15 for Brazil. And then width is the number of columns I want. It's 1. It's an optional argument, so I'm not gonna fill it. I'm just gonna close the parentheses and press enter. Here I get 5 again, and if I drag it down, nothing will change. Why? Because we have this 0. So we are always starting at A1 and taking 15 rows. So the first instance of Brazil will be here. But I can change this 0. What I could do is use the cell before it. So here cell D2 is 0 because it is blank. So I can select it and press enter. And now if I drag, you can see that I have different numbers. So let's look at what we got now. We got client 3, which is fine, and then here we got client 2 because I got a 4. Why did I get a 4? Let's look at this. Basically, in this offset formula, I started at A1, I went down D3, which is 5 rows. So what does it mean? I went to row A6, right? And from A6, I took 15 rows, so from A6 to A21, and I looked at the first instance of Brazil, which is in the fourth row from A6. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is why I get 4 here. But instead, I need to get 9 here. So I need to add the 5 rows that I skipped. So to add them, it is also very simple. Let's press escape, go back up, and at the end put plus the cell before it. So here again it's 0, no problem. Here we can drag it down and we get 5, 9, and 10, which is the desired result. So now I get all my clients 3, 7, and 8. As simple as that. Now the problem will come when I drag this down. When you drag this down, you can see that you get an A's errors because you don't have any more Brazil, right? So what do you do in this case? Basically, what you could do is a count if. So here I'm just gonna put a count if and say count if range, this is the range, comma, the criteria is my Brazil. Let's close the parentheses. We have 3. So we can use an if here and say if rows, rows means count the number of rows in a range. So here I'm just gonna do A3 column A3. We close parentheses and we're gonna fix A3. I'm gonna explain it to you. Here what we want is fix the A and do smaller or equal than the count if I have. Let's use F4, comma, then we want the formula, otherwise we want a blank. Let's close the parentheses, drag it, and I explain it to you. Basically, what we are doing is, here we're counting the number of rows. From A3 to A3, there is only one row, and this row is less than 3, right? Less or equal than 3. So then I want to have the formula, I get my 5. In the second case, the rows between A3 and A4 are 2. 2 is smaller or equal than 3, so that means that we execute the formula and get 9. And here, there are 3 rows that are less or equal than 3, so execute the formula. After that, from A3 to A6, there are 4 rows, so the formula will not get executed and I'll get blanks. And here I can just change it to say if this cell is different than a blank, comma, you do the index, otherwise I want a blank. And if I drag down this formula, you can see that we get blanks, which is great. The last thing that we could do to make it nicer, because if you see here we have hard-coded 15 rows. So what if you start having more data and then you forget about this 15? That could be a problem. So what I could do is use a count A. So count A will tell me the number of non-blank cells in a range. So I'm just gonna do count A and then select my range here and add +1. Why am I adding +1? Because cell A1 is blank, and if you remember, I am starting my count always in this formula from A1. So for example here, we want to reach from A1 to A10. If you had more blank cells before your table, you need to account for them and put it here in the plus. So now I press enter and then I can just drag the formula and you can see that it works perfectly. So the beauty of it is that now if I add another data point like here, I can add Brazil and do client 9, I will get the result automatically. Why is that? because now when we did our count A, we got here, for example, 10 records, right? From country to Brazil, you have 10 records. You add on top of it this A1, so that becomes 11. So for the first one, it's just gonna go from A1 to A11, and then the second one, it's gonna go from the next instance after Brazil, so A6, it will take 11 rows, so that will be A6 to A16. So here you're safe, your formula works. So please let me know if you prefer this formula versus the aggregate formula and why. So you can type in the comment section. And please, to help this channel grow, I would really appreciate if you can press on the like button for this video and subscribe to the channel.